possible but not probable.
If Jody was in fight or flight mode when she ran out of the bathroom, why would she run into the closet and corner herself?
From my understanding, the closet had two entrances. It was a pass-through between two rooms. And so I don't think she viewed it as a place to hide so much, but as a place to walk through or run through in order to run away from Mr. Alexander.
Wouldn't someone in fight or flight mode want to get away from the danger?
Usually that's the first step, but if you can't get away from the danger, then the next thing to do is to fight.
Would they want to get help from someone?
Well, I think based upon the intensity of the trauma, if one's life is being threatened, I suppose that if there was somebody in the adjacent room to call, maybe that would have resulted in a shriek or a shout. But she seemed to have been there alone with Mr. Alexander, and this is all going on in milliseconds. She survived on a mechanical basis, an instinctual basis, and the way she handled it was the way that came out of her. Again, to make a phone call or to run out the house if you can get away, running for help takes longer. And while it's possible that someone may be able to do that, apparently under these circumstances, that was not an alternative.
That who are wearing red today, y'all.
Either PTSD and or acute stress disorder before the incident on June 4, 2008.
Whore!
I can't determine whether or not she experienced.
Great question. Let's pause it right there. They'll pick it up with Evening Express. But I want to remind you, make sure you tune in
Talking to my boy Chris,
at 10 p.m. I got to show you
the sexy man in the picture that's on my Facebook page.
Alexander's bathroom.
We go back.
Closet and everything. There it is, folks. We're going to take the jury
Back to high school.
there tonight as we talk about tonight's bold accusation.
I actually did my first professional job with him. The after school special in high school.
Our jury will take them into the mock-up. They will render a verdict. Evening Express is next.
Jury secrets from some of the most notorious cases. They're startling revelations only on Show It Tonight. Show It Tonight. 8 to 9 tonight, 11 Eastern Pacific.
If you have Medicare and have a chronic breathing...
Morning, gentlemen. Have a good flight in?
Good morning.
How's the wife?
A little bumpy.
Oh, well, you met my colleague, Jane.
She's meeting me at the hotel later.
Right.
Lacking slow internet. Look, there's a question behind.
Well, we hope you have some good ideas.
I don't think I have.
Don't let slow internet hurt your business. Get faster speeds with DSL. Bundle with Cox Business. Ranked highest in customer satisfaction.
Now you can look slim and trim. New Mega Tea Sculpt with green coffee extract helps reduce sugar absorption to help melt away body fat for a slim, trim, sculpted look. Lose weight now with Mega Tea Sculpt with green coffee extract.
Discover Gel Perfect, the 5-minute manicure from Nutrinail. That's rock solid in 5 minutes and no UV or LED light needed. Gel Perfect with breakthrough gel color technology for a patent leather shine. Gel Perfect. We swear on it so you don't have to.
Hey, Gillette. Tomorrow night starting at 9 after Nancy Grace Mysteries.
Welcome to Evening Express. I'm Ryan Smith.
And I'm Natasha Berry. Thanks so much for joining us tonight.
This is the point, Natasha, by the way, that we get into the jurors' minds. Let's press play, put you back in that courtroom, and watch as they ask questions of Dr. Richard Samuels. He's the defense's expert on PTSD.
I can't determine whether or not she experienced an acute stress disorder at another point in her life, and whether or not if she may have been diagnosed with PTSD at that time, although from what I was learning from talking to her, many of these symptoms occurred after the incident had occurred, such as the emotional numbing, the physiological reactions that she was experiencing, etc. So while it is possible that she might have been diagnosable with PTSD, I didn't see the likelihood that was the case.
Would someone who plans to kill another and does be less likely to suffer acute stress than someone who kills an individual accidentally?
Accidentally. Well, if you're referring to something like a hunting accident, again, you're not accidentally shoot somebody in the woods, you have a very lower likelihood of falling into a flight or fight response. So the likelihood of developing an acute stress disorder is probably less for that type of circumstance than if you were planning to kill somebody. But on the other hand, if the killing occurs within the context of an argument or a fight, or is emotionally charged, and comes up suddenly, there's a greater chance that someone will enter an acute stress reaction or develop an acute stress reaction.
Is it possible that Jody didn't write negative things about Travis because there was nothing negative to write?
While possible, that would be inconsistent with what I learned later on about the nature of their relationship, and in seeing some of the text messages, in listening to some of the telephone calls between the two of them, or the telephone call between the two of them, there was an indication that it was a rather tumultuous relationship. And so, therefore, while she didn't write about these things in her journal, that was consistent with her style of glossing over difficult times with Travis that was supported by other information that was made available to me.
If one has suppressed feelings repeatedly, would it be a natural reaction once the dam breaks, for example, a gunshot that hits Travis, for all the repressed feelings to express themselves in carrying that violence to the extreme, overall of stab wounds?
All those stab wounds.
If one has suppressed feelings repeatedly, would it be a natural reaction once the dam breaks, for example, a gunshot that hits Travis?
See, we don't know what all these questions mean. It doesn't mean that...
to express themselves in carrying that violence to the extreme, overall, of stab wounds?
Yes, that is a characteristic of emotionally charged killing.
If something is premeditated, is amnesia more or less likely to occur?
I would say less likely to occur.
You stated that Jody did not have control of what her mind was doing during the killing. If that is true, how do you explain her dragging Travis's body and trying to clean up the crime scene?
The attempts to clean up the crime scene appeared to be rather frenzied, disorganized, impulsive, and not well planned or thought out. These are characteristics seen when someone is in a state of acute stress. If you would predict that if someone had planned this terrible deed, that plans would have included cleaning up the crime scene in order to get away and reduce the risk of apprehension. But that was not the case in this particular instance.
In earlier testimony, you stated that once you found out the true story, you should have retested for PTSD, but didn't because it was an oversight. Just now, you said you didn't retest because you believed her score would remain the same, which is correct.
When I was being questioned on Monday, I must have been, admit I was a bit thrown by the veracity of Mr. Martinez's questioning.
Sustained.
So I was a little thrown. First of all, there is no set procedure that would require me to do a retest. In terms of my later analysis, after it was made clear that I had tested her prior to the story, I reviewed the material and made the determination that the score would have been essentially the same. There is no set requirement that I test to begin with, and there's no requirement that I need to retest either, nor is there a requirement that I test at all. The diagnosis was an initial hypothesis, and it was reinforced not only by the PDS, but also by the MCMI and all subsequent information that I learned